Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I went ahead and filmed a full deficit deadlift workout, including accessories for you guys, and I'm not going to lie, today's workout was tough. I was not able to hit a volume PR. In fact, I had to stop a rep short. I'm sorry, a full set short from what I did last week. As you guys know, I'm running this specific training system right now, which I've been kind of showing you guys. That I started it on my bench press, and I've gone ahead and incorporated it for 4 basic exercises. And the deadlift is my strongest lift right now. So the fact that I've increased volume several weeks in a row on these deficit deadlifts, I'm at a point to where with my strength and the fact that I'm not bulking, I'm not gaining weight, 40 years old just on TRT, there's occasionally recovery issues. I am able to generate enough tonnage that I can impede my ability to recover, unfortunately. And so this is going to be a slow process on the deadlift, and that's okay, because out of all my big lifts, the deadlift is the one that needs the least improvement. To be honest, I'm pretty strong on the deadlift. You guys all know that. You guys remember just a couple months ago watching me do 5-rep work sets with 515 on the conventional deadlift beltless strapless. So this deficit work's a little easy to recover from, but when I start passing that 10,000 pound mark in one workout, again off that deficit, it really starts to build up, and I'm really getting that pop off the floor is so hard. So today it just, everything kind of gave out a little bit on me on the 7th set, and I could have grounded out, but I decided to stop because it's like, I got to train more this week. I got 2 more serious training days later this week. I can't just bury myself. And you know what, I'm going to be honest, I really felt like I should have been recovered today. I should have been recovered. I got plenty of food last night. I know I got a good night's sleep. I got about 8.5 hours of sleep, continuous sleep. But I woke up and my lower back was a little sore this morning. And at that point, I knew it might not be, 100% on the deadlift today. And it wasn't, because last week I did 8 sets. Today I got to that 7th set and I did 1 rep and just stopped. But again, that pushed me past the 10,000 pound mark off of a beltless deficit. And we've got to keep that in mind. It's a fair amount of tonnage. But what I had to think about in terms of that is, it felt like my grip giving out. My hands are just really tired. I mean, the bar didn't slip out of my hands, but I could feel that I was struggling to grip it. And again, that's a sign of peripheral nervous system fatigue. It's like I've talked to you guys in the past. That's one reason straps are a fast way to overtrain and really hurt yourself and to mess up, is because they don't let you assess your grip strength. Assessing your grip strength at any given point tells you where you're at in your nervous system recovery. Now, as far as this goes, really, I feel like just from what was throbbing, it's lower body. Even my quads are a weakness. Now, I'm front squatting. In fact, I did 7 sets of front squats my last squat workout. 7 sets. And so I'm building those up. But I noticed today my glutes, just my very lower back, not the full spinal erectors, just down above the hip, hamstrings, quads are all really feeling fatigued. They're really feeling fatigued. By about the time I got to the 5th set or so, I was really noticing that. So I'm like, okay, what do I need to do for accessories? Because I realized I wasn't going to hit a rep PR. I came in hoping I could add a set and get 9 sets instead of 8 like last week. But last week was a PR. And it's kind of reaching that point to where I may have to back down. I may have to deload. I don't want to deload. I don't want to do a full body deload. I really don't, because I'm progressing on my other lifts right now. But I'm about to reach a point to where I'm going to have to assess, do I need to deload the deadlift so that I allow enough recovery for everything else? Because this deadlift day every week, yeah, it's fantastic for my grip. It's fantastic for my strength. But it is a lot of recovery, and that's why I'm only doing it once a week. It's a lot of recovery, and I always have a day off after. You're not going to see me touch a weight the next day after this deadlift day. And I kind of start the week off with bench press, which is what I want to focus on the most at the moment, rebuilding that bench. I want to get back to 315 pause work sets. So, again, that's where we have to kind of assess these things. And I realize, okay, so I'm struggling here. I need to get some more work in for accessories. So I went ahead and I chose, based on what I had available, a standing hamstring curl, 1-legged ones. Ideally, I would have preferred a glute ham raise. I'm going to be honest. I would prefer a glute ham raise. I don't have access to one at the moment. I just don't have access. See, there it was. I'm totally done. Totally done. So the reason I'm doing the standing one, specificity of training, the same reason I would tell guys that a glute ham raise is a better exercise than most hamstring curls. The reason I'm choosing standing, because again, I'm on my feet in a bent over position there, and it's got a pre-stretch on the hamstring because you're bent over to some extent, right? So there's a stretch at the bottom on the hamstring. And that's what we're looking for because the hamstring gets stretched a little bit. Think about the joint angle where your hamstring needs to be strongest on the deadlift. It's not at that peak contraction at the top. Who cares about it? You notice I don't try to hold a peak contraction. Why? Doesn't matter. It has no impact on the performance of anything I ever plan on doing for the rest of my life. Zero. But that stretch at the bottom does. That sure matters on a deadlift, doesn't it? You want to avoid tearing a hamstring? That point right down there. 10 to 15 degrees of knee flexion. That's where you need your hamstring strongest. That's where you need it the strongest. So that's where I want to work it. And so yeah, I did 3 sets of 10 on these one-legged hamstring curls just to get some extra volume in because I realized that's a possible weak link. And it doesn't have to be the weak link. Yes, I know that things like my whole posterior chain felt weak, but here's what it ultimately comes down to. Hamstrings are a relatively small muscle, relatively easy to bring up for me personally. If my hamstrings get stronger, that will make it easier to deadlift. It will put less strain on other muscles to get the weight moving because the hamstrings will help me get the weight started off the floor easier. And I'm doing all these deficit deadlifts to get faster off the floor. I feel like I need a little more hamstring to get stronger off the floor on the deficit deadlift. And I'm using the deficit deadlift right now to build up, and I'll eventually go back to conventional. But the point is it's easy to recover from, and it helps you get explosive off the floor so that you can build a stronger deadlift. Because weakness is always off the floor on a deadlift. Anyone who tells you their lockout is a weakness on their deadlift, they're probably full of shit. So we kind of go back to the point of if you want to use the deficit deadlift to build your deadlift, like I discussed earlier today, when we pick accessories, our accessories need to strengthen our other accessories. So if I want to use the deficit deadlift to get more powerful on the deadlift in general, get my hamstring stronger to get that better pop off the floor, because I feel like hamstrings get worked harder on the deficit. And that tells me a lot about that for me personally and my leverages. My hamstrings need to be stronger to get me started faster with that drive the first few inches off the floor. So if I can make my hamstrings stronger in that position, I'll be able to lift more weight for more reps and more sets in that position, which will improve my deadlift. And of course, I'm front squatting right now, which also improves my deadlift. That's a primary exercise for me. So once the front squat starts to stall, because the deficit deadlift stalled a bit today, I couldn't get to 10 sets. Now that we've got a stall towards our volume goals, we fix those stalls with accessories. This is still minimalist training, by the way, because I'm only doing about, 7 to 9 exercises per week, different exercises. We're minimalism. We just hammer those basic exercises and then some basic accessories to improve them till we get better at them. And normally all these accessories, like me doing these tricep extensions, me doing some hamstring curls, I wouldn't have a novice lifter do those. They don't need them. But when you're a more advanced lifter like me, we use accessories that have a minimal impact on your recovery, because deficit deadlifts are still hard on your recovery. Front squats are hard on your recovery. Pause benching is hard on your recovery when you do a lot of volume. These other exercises aren't. So we use them to, number one, add hypertrophy to different muscles that you need to bring up your main lifts. And number two, we train those joint angles that we need the most. Just like I was saying, the way I do my tricep extensions will dramatically improve my strict overhead press. If my strict overhead press goes up, my bench press goes up. Same thing, deficit deadlift. Getting those hamstrings stronger right there at the bottom of that deficit deadlift, number one, going to prevent injuries because we will strengthen the mobility and everything at that joint angle. So we're less likely to injure a hamstring. And we're going to make it stronger. It's going to give us more pop off the floor. If we get more pop off the floor on the deficit deadlift, we get more pop off the floor on the conventional deadlift. And when you can pop a conventional deadlift off the floor fast, it doesn't matter how much weight it is, it will lock. You will lock that weight. And in my case, I don't need to train my whole upper back much anymore. You guys see the size of my back on those hamstring curls. You guys think I really need to be doing more rows right now? No, I need more hamstring. I need more hamstring. I need more quad. I need to keep my core strong, keep my lower back strong. I have all the upper back development I need right now to probably deadlift 650, 700 pounds. I don't need any more. I don't need any more upper back to bench press 350 to 400 pounds, do I? I have all the upper back I need. Now we beat what we know we need to bring up. And that's going to be hamstrings. It's going to be triceps. It's going to be delts. All right, I've already got all the upper back development I will ever need to reach any goal I have. Now we bring up what we know we need to bring up to get better. Bring up those weak links. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.